We've all seen incredible superpowers in movies and on TV. From Spider-Man's radioactive spider bite to the X-Men's genetic mutations, there are many ways in which the characters we all love went from ordinary to extraordinary. These 10 people lived average lives until one moment would change their lives forever. Staying up to date with all the latest from the Hub could be your superpower if you click that subscribe button. John Doe. One fateful day in 1994, a man known only to the public as John Doe would make an incredible discovery after a car accident. John walked away from his crash feeling completely well, but decided to visit a hospital just to be sure. Upon his arrival, he underwent routine procedures and screenings including x-rays. The x-rays revealed no injuries whatsoever, and in fact, showed that John's bones were 8 times denser than the average human, earning him the title the man with the granite bones. John was released from the hospital and continued his life in obscurity, until several years later when his physician heard of a man who needed a hip replacement, but no one could screw the prosthesis in place. His bones were just too hard. This led to a careful examination of both men's family tree, and the incredible discovery that many people from one ancestral group along the eastern seaboard of the United States have John's incredible granite-like bones. When it comes to superpowers, invincible bones isn't the worst to have. Ben Underwood. Ben Underwood was blinded as a small child by a condition known as retinoblastoma, a kind of cancer of the eye. In the car with his mother after having his eyes removed at the age of 3, he discovered that the sounds of the busy city around him made the location of a large building known to him. Ben asked his mother what the large building was. For years, Ben used sound to navigate and live a normal and active childhood, until the day he made an even more mysterious discovery. At the age of 7, Ben discovered that by clicking his tongue, he could see almost anything, and no longer had to rely on ambient sound to show him where things were. Over the course of his life, Ben developed athletic abilities and a confidence of movement that other blind people could only dream of. He played basketball, rode a bicycle, and even skated. After a brief trial at a residential school for the blind, Ben realized he had far more in common with the sighted, and continued to surprise and delight the world with his ability and fearless attitude. Many specialists and experts have studied the young man's incredible ability, theorizing that he must have had super hearing, but Ben was found to have average hearing ability. Ben lost his battle to cancer at the age of 16, but he remains an inspiration to people all over the world. Benedetto Supino. Pyrokinesis is a popular superpower in comic books, television, and films. The ability to start fires with only the power of the human mind has fascinated us for centuries. As far-fetched as it may seem, there very well may be an actual human torch. In the early 1980s, a young Italian boy sat in the dentist's office reading a comic book, perhaps a comic book about superheroes. Suddenly, having only glanced at the book, it burst into flames. The boy told his family how the fire started, with his mind, but no one believed him. The boy continued to experience this amazing ability, even waking to find his bed and pajamas in flames and suffering severe burns. In one incident that demonstrated Benedetto's incredible ability, a small plastic toy that his uncle was holding burst into flames while the boy stared at it. Everywhere he went, items from books, furniture, paper, and clothing would begin to smolder and burn. Some witnesses claimed to have seen his hands glowing before the fire started. Supino seemed distressed by these events and desperately wanted to stop burning things with his mind. With the help of parapsychologist Dr. Demetrio Croce, Benedetto was finally able to learn to control and hone his unbelievable talent. The cause for his ability still remains unknown. Buddhist Monks. Few groups of people are as mysterious as the Buddhist monks of Tibet. Tummo, also known as Tibetan inner fire, is a type of meditation and yogic breathing that was discovered in the 8th century. Using Tummo, Buddhist monks can generate seemingly magical heat from their bodies, raising the temperature of their fingers by 17 degrees. Experts have been studying monks for over 20 years, and the effects of their superpowers are clearly observable, but still unexplainable. Scientists have observed that these monks can lower their metabolism by 64%. The average human metabolism only ever lowers by 10 to 15% even while we're asleep. This ability to control their metabolism allows the monks to remain comfortable in temperatures that could be fatal to most people. Many monks begin this practice in early childhood, and some claim the practice can cleanse the body of toxins. There is currently interest in teaching the technique to astronauts, because it causes the body to use fewer resources, including oxygen. Dutchman Wim Hof is a contemporary practicer of Tummo techniques, who allows himself to be studied and tested and gladly shares his method with the world. Any person with access to cold condition and discipline can study these techniques and try to attain the Tummo fire. SM. Referred to by scientists and researchers only as SM, this incredible patient remembers having an average upbringing and a normal childhood. Her life was the same as any other until one day she simply stopped feeling fear. After a team of researchers studied her, they made an incredible discovery. She had a rare genetic condition which damaged her amygdala. The amygdala detects anything that could threaten our survival and triggers a fear response when it detects a threat. Her condition had essentially removed the ability to experience fear and trauma from her brain. In experiments, SM claimed to hate snakes and spiders, but when presented with them, she showed no fear, handling the animals with no hesitation. When asked why she chose to touch those very things she professed to hate, she replied that she was overcome with curiosity. Given her incredible ability and the fact that traumatic events seem to leave no emotional impression on her, scientists are now trying to use what they've learned from SM's brain to treat those suffering from PTSD. Oliver Sacks. World-famous neuroscientist and author of over 40 works, Oliver Sacks wrote of a patient he identified only as Stephen D., 22, medical student, who was a recreational user of speed, cocaine, and PCP. After a week of binging and partying, the patient dreamt he was a dog and had an incredibly sensitive sense of smell. But upon waking, he retained this ability for an incredible 3 weeks. While Sacks later revealed that the patient he wrote about in The Dog Beneath the Skin was in fact himself, that still left the question as to how the drug use had given him this incredible superpower. While Sacks himself has spoken of the incident in many interviews and is less shy to admit his drug experimentation, a full scientific understanding of the event is still being pursued. Studies found that amphetamines decrease levels of dopamine in the olfactory bulbs of rodents. Based on this data, a theory has been built that amphetamine use may cause hypersomnia, a heightened sense of smell. But further research is needed. Sacks experiments with many drugs in his career, including morning glories and LSD, which may have helped him to make many important discoveries in his career. But none are quite as unique as the temporary superhuman ability to smell. Harold Williams. Many of us strive to learn at least one additional language to our native tongue. But what if you could learn any language at all, just by being exposed to it? Harold Whitmore Williams was born on April 6, 1876 in Auckland, New Zealand. Harold's early life was very normal. He grew up with his 6 brothers and was raised by British nationals. Everything changed for Harold when he experienced what he mysteriously described as an explosion in his brain, a phenomenon which has never been explained. His thirst for knowledge became insatiable, and the curious 7-year-old quickly mastered the Latin language. By the time he reached high school, he had already mastered 10 languages. Even the most intelligent among us can only master 3 fluently and up to 6 known. Harold attended Auckland University and Munich University in Germany, where he completed his PhD in languages at the impressive age of 26. It is believed that Harold attained mastery of an incredible 58 languages, making him the most successful linguist ever known. Michel Lotito. Michel Lotito was born in France in 1950. For the first 7 years of his life, he seemed like any other child, until at the age of 7, he began a habit that would earn him the nickname Mr. Eat Anything. Michel described the incredible moment in his childhood that led him to discover his body's amazing ability to consume the unimaginable. He was 7 years old in his home in Grenoble, France, when he had an insatiable craving while looking at the family TV. Michel began breaking the appliance into small pieces and eating them. The child suffered no ill effects and continued to eat inedible objects, often metal, and eventually began performing by enjoying his incredible meals in front of a live audience in the 1960s. It is estimated that between 1959 and 1997, Michel had consumed nearly 9 tons of metal, including 18 bicycles, 15 shopping carts, 7 television sets, 6 chandeliers, 2 beds, a pair of skis, a coffin, 400 meters of steel chain, and an entire Cessna 150 airplane. Michel accompanied his meals with mineral oil, as well as large amounts of water, and claimed to have no difficulty passing his strange fare. Bon appetit! Masou Oyama. Born in 1923 in Korea, Masou Oyama was truly one of humanity's most incredible warriors. At the age of 9, Oyama began to study martial arts while living on his sister's farm in China. Oyama trained very hard under the tutelage of a farmer named Lee and began to show great promise. Mas intended to become a pilot, and in March 1938, he enrolled in the Yamanashi Aviation School of the Imperial Japanese Army, along with his brother. Oyama studied sports science at Waseda University and continued to practice martial arts until he found the very style that would make him famous, Kyokushin. After opening his own dojo in 1953, Oyama discovered his own style of karate, which he named Kyokushin. Using this hard-hitting, brutal, yet practical style, Oyama held public exhibitions at which he killed massive bulls with his bare hands, often grabbing their horns and snapping them right off. In his career, Oyama would take down a total of 52 bulls. He also fought 300 men over the course of 3 days. Masou Oyama discovered a form of karate more brutal than any other. For those with the dedication and discipline, his training technique could turn you into a superhero too. Wenceslao Mogel. Mogel was born in 1890 in Santiago at the heart of the city of Mérida in Mexico. Little is known about his early life, or at what age his incredible ability to survive may have been discovered. But one event on March 18, 1915, would seal his fate as an infamous superhuman. Wenceslao was a Mexican revolutionary who fought for the army of Pancho Villa. Mogel was captured by the Mexican Federal Police, or Federales, and without a trial, his arms were bound with wire, and he faced an execution squad. 10 shots were fired into his body, including the coup de grace, a shot fired into his head at point-blank range by an officer. Mogel miraculously lived and crawled away to the nearby church of St. James the Apostle, 3 whole blocks away from where he was given refuge until he could recover. He would forever be known as El Fusilado, or the Executed One, thereafter. He then spent much of his life touring the US with the Ripley's Believe It or Not Traveling Museum, and even appeared on the Ripley's Believe It or Not radio show on July 16, 1937. The real-life superheroes in this video show us that accidents, ancient discoveries, and even medical revelations can turn anyone into a superhero. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to The Hub for all of the latest content. Thanks for watching.